October 27, 2016. You're listening to the Line Sports Talk Podcast. Fantasy Builder, building the perfect lineup episode. Joined with my buddy, Harbor Mike. What's up, bud?
What's going on, bro? How you doing, my man?
I'm good. I've been doing a lot better. If we had a few things go our way last week, but I was pleased with the outcome. I thought for Week 7, this is that bread and butter time of season where in the gambling world, a lot of the house experts will tell you that, Week 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is when you can really get your bread buttered. You can start to make the right picks because you're familiar. The late season injuries haven't eaten everybody alive yet, and I thought we jumped on a lot of those picks last week. We were on the damn money. I know I came out on top again, which is can't ever complain about that. I mean, you did well too, didn't you?
I did. I got close. I could have used your suggestion to start Philadelphia. I took a 0 with the Buffalo Bills. Again, they got me.
That's
but
tough.
Everything else was really good. I matched 4 starters from the winning lineup. So we got close, and then I was 6 points behind. For my quarterback, he got me with Melvin Gordon. Other than that, he had only had me by a point from T.Y. Hilton over Julio Jones.
Yeah,
and
that point, big yardage.
Then we tied for kicker. So at the end of the day, it was a pretty good deal. It was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I thought so too. As far as the chalk goes last week, it was all right there on Front Street. Plays like Julio Jones, A.J. Green, Mike Evans, LeGarrette Blount. I wouldn't put him in the chalk category, but Jones and A.J. Green certainly are. Those guys are always in the top 4 or 5 high priced. But they were there, and they were the right plays. We made the call to spend the money to buy those players because it was the right call, and they went off. LeGarrette Blount went off. Your picks on Cousins at quarterback, Dalton, those all went off. So we were really nice. It's all about mixing and matching it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You and I both have won some pretty big chunks on Daily Fantasy Sports, and we've both watched some weekends come so close, but yet so far. Last week, to me, felt like the one that got away in a couple categories. I was really just 8-9 points away from a big payout, and I think the highest one I took was around $60, and it's not enough to get excited about at this point, but it's still the competition.
I did the same thing. They've restructured the amount that they give you, so now what I would have that score would have done me a lot better a year ago and maybe gotten me $1,000. But what do you do? It's now easier to win because there's, even 100,000 people less in this big tournament. So it's a little easier to win this smaller pool, but they don't give you
sure. Well, as it stands right now, as we're in the midst of our recording, it is 7:45 on the 27th. That game tonight that I don't know that anybody's even watching. It's Jacksonville's at Tennessee tonight, and God Almighty, I'm so glad. Look, I love Marcus Mariota. Beyond that, I have to start Allen Robinson in one league. It's in the Gracie League that we're in together. I have to start Allen Robinson there, and I'm disgusted by everything that guy does. Hopefully, the nice long week of practice that he didn't have. They said he got a lot of extra work in, though, spent some time, jugs machine, route running, who knows, but he's got to show up because that's making me sick. But we want to get to it and get this up and going so I can go put my feet up and not have to watch the Indians and the Cubs and pull my hair out tonight. So with that said, bud, let's school's in session. Let's go. Get started, man. Let's talk about quarterbacks.
All right. I think this week I really like, for me, the guy I'm going all in is Jameis Winston. Yeah, I'm calling it. He's making things happen, and again, he's against. I hate to even say this. I'm not trying to pick on your people, but he's Oakland is towards the bottom of the league, as you know, and points allowed to the quarterback position, yards.
It's bad. There's no doubt.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The spread thinks it's 49 and it's even, which I like that. I like the sound of a shootout, and that pretty much sounds like one to me.
It does.
So, and neither team really has a dominant running game. I think Jacquizz Rodgers will have a good game, but his biggest chance was obviously with San Francisco, and he didn't score. So I don't necessarily like him this week. So obviously that just bodes well, even better for the air attack.
Okay. Everything about Jameis Winston, I have no problem with him starting against the Raiders. That Raider defense, especially the pass defense, the first 5 weeks of the season was like pouring water into a colander. It was entirely too easy. They were a pushover. That secondary was a pushover. They've shown some improvements, but I don't know what that means. They stayed in Florida all week. They played Jacksonville last Sunday. They took a charter plane down to Sarasota, which for those people that are out of the state of Florida, it's about 45 minutes south of the Tampa area by drive. It's a lovely, lovely little town. But those guys have been reclining, putting their feet up for a week. I have a hard time, and I'm a diehard Raider fan. We know this. I'm having a hard time seeing these guys prepared to play this game. I think Del Rio will get them ready. But it scares me. It scares me so much that I'm almost regretting the tickets I got today to go to this game. But, Winston, back to him and what's important here. He's throwing the ball over 30 times a game. This is a team that clearly under Dirk Cutter likes to throw the ball. He's got his specific targets that he likes. The one knock I have against Winston is he's going to probably be owned in a lot of teams. So it's jumping out as a nice value pick, middle of the road, price-wise. What's he priced at?
He is priced at, hang on a second here.
Yeah, he's not expensive.
$7,400. And remember, this is not there's going to be a lot of games to choose from in this pool.
That's right.
So we don't have to worry about that. Just real quickly, speaking on the game tonight, I had a little pool of the Monday night and the Monday night and Thursday night. And the Monday night was such a stinker that all I need is like 10 points from Mariota. So on the face,
sure,
this game could suck tonight, and I hope it does because it makes it that much easier for the way that I pick the lineups.
Okay.
So that doesn't always constitute not betting the daily fantasy.
Sure, as less goes on, it's just as good. It's just as good if you have the guy who does a little bit.
Yeah, because then you can pick a lot of times. Then if that's the case in the game, then the usual suspects do just the work. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
You'll see a pattern to where you don't have to get this 22 points now. Now you can be a little selective and get that guy no one picks and be close to them because the production doesn't have to be as high. So I just want to throw that in there.
This is how jacked up I am over baseball
on the
right
other
now.
side. On the other side, I would think Derek Carr is going to have a pretty good game as well. So okay. I think you could go with that.
I was just going to ask you a question quickly. I'm so jacked up over this World Series right now that I don't even know who played Monday night in the NFL game.
Oh, it was now you put me on the spot here.
Was it Green Bay and Chicago?
No, it was.
That was a Thursday night game.
Not the Monday night. Let me pull up what I have.
I'm sorry to do this to myself and everybody else. I know Arizona-Seattle was the Sunday night game that ended in a tie. I cannot believe.
Yeah, so it was Houston and Denver, and then tonight Jacksonville and Tennessee.
It was Houston-Denver Monday night.
Yeah, so if you started C.J. Anderson, he got 16.7. Devontae Booker got less. He got what was it?
Yeah, he didn't have as much of a night, but we can't go backwards. We got to jump into the rest of these quarterbacks here. So on the other side of Winston, Derek Carr is a nice middle of the road play as well, and I've got the pricing up here. He's at $7,800, so he's $400 more on FanDuel than Jameis Winston. I think he's going to sling the ball around that game. That should be a shootout, like we mentioned. Taking a look at those over-unders before you start selecting. There aren't a whole lot of games that are out of range this week. Quickly, just some over-under numbers here. Green Bay and Atlanta, of course, is your high-numbered game. That is the peak I've seen at 52.5. Kansas City and the Colts at 1 o'clock is at 50, which that blows my mind. But I think I might get it. Not a lot. Those are the only two I see over 50. At 49 is Oakland and Tampa, so that's another game that should be points for all accounts. It should be some scoring.
Right.
I like Carr as well, but I'm a homer. Let me throw a name at you at the quarterback position here, and it's going to lead us into something we really want to talk about.
Sure.
That's matching up players versus defenses. I love Matthew Stafford this week, and for no good reason. He's at Houston. This Houston defense, I can't tell if it's any good or not. They don't give up a lot of points. They haven't been torched all season long. But for whatever reason, I just feel that Detroit Lions team, wherever they go, they're just going to sling it around the field. So I'm not totally afraid of Matt Stafford. But how bad? How is the Houston defense overrated?
I think they're pretty good against the pass. So when I was evaluating this week, I didn't really like Stafford.
Okay.
For the price that he's at 77, if you have $200 more, I think I would like to put it in Andrew Luck's hands.
Yeah. I put Andrew Luck in my no play. He was in the no-fly zone for this week, him and Russell Wilson. I just don't love Wilson's health. I don't love Andrew Luck's health. He's showing signs of those shoulder problems again, and that's starting to scare me. I get it where that game is Kansas City, Indianapolis. That game's at 50. There's no reason why that couldn't be a 28-24 football game, 31-24. I see that game scoring some points as well, so I'm not afraid of Andrew Luck either. But Russell Wilson, I'm definitely afraid of.
I agree on that. Here's another guy, but this is more risky only because his running back is badass. Carson Palmer at Carolina for 7,300.
Yeah.
I think he could air it out, but at the same time, like I said, he's getting his touchdown stolen by his running back, so that's costing him because he's putting up big numbers on the grade. You know, he's doing what you need him to do.
He is, and Carson Palmer was the other quarterback that I thought you had a lot of upside to this week. I think that we'll get into the rest of the positions, but I love Palmer this week. But you're right, and I'm glad you pointed that out, as he is fallen victim to the touchdown hawk that is David Johnson. And if you own him, that's great, like I do. But Carson Palmer, he's fallen victim to that, and it's taking away probably 2 passing touchdowns a game from him because the team is scoring points, sans the Seattle game last Sunday night, which was just division head-to-head, 2 Rams, bad kickers, all that shit. I love Carson Palmer this week. Give me one more quarterback, and then I want to throw one. Actually, give me 2 more if you got them.
Yeah, I got 2, and these are the how big are your balls?
Okay.
Your bank is going to be saved.
I know one of them.
Yeah, at $6,600, and again, how big are your balls? Brock Osweiler. Only because of the matchup, Detroit is giving up the most fantasy points to QB. It's at Houston. So all things point to if this guy can put together even half a quarter or,
Anything.
2 quarters of football against these guys, he should be successful enough to get you over 20 points. And then the other guy I really like because he is playing this week and he's 6,400 is Josh McCown against New York Jets. Again, the same scenario with a leaky defense to the position. Overall, I think you have a good matchup as far as the secondary. For those picks, we're talking about the value because they literally are $1,000 cheaper than the guys that we just mentioned. So
there could potentially be a lot of value. You could get 17, 18 points out of Josh McCown, where you could foreseeably get 17 or 18 out of a Carson Palmer or a Derek Carr or a Jameis Winston. I want to throw one more at you. And the only reason why I'm going to spit this guy's name out here is because Cam Newton is about due to have a game of some sort. He is one of your high-valued. He would be considered chalk this week at 8,300, I think. But Cam Newton tends to be a lot better when Jonathan Stewart is back in the game. Jonathan Stewart is back and fully healthy from what I understand. I think if you're going to spend big money on your quarterback, you've got to look in the direction of either Rodgers or Newton this week. I don't love Newton. I wouldn't recommend him, but he's somebody that I have a feeling we won't be played too heavily.
Well, this week, depending on